All right, guys, as you know, I'm on a mission to expose the music industry one day at a time. The reason is because a lot of people are fed illusions. They live their whole life waiting for this illusion. It never happens. And then they're disappointed and they wasted all their life's potential because they waited for a fairy tale, a Santa Claus story, and a dream that was sold to them. Same way we went to college thinking that jobs were going to be so ready for us. We gotten tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt, came out of college, there was no real jobs. I know that pain. I've lived that. So I want to help you prevent the pain. Today, we're going to focus on the dark side of the music industry. This is part one. If you want part two, just let me know in the comments below. We'll take this further. Even cool to interview more and more people about this so that you're not just hearing it from me. So I want to thank Brandman Sean. This is just an excellent video. Thank you, Brandman Sean. Thank you, Corey, for really putting this out there. Even the speaker, his name is Chad Focus. I appreciate him just exposing what the record labels are actually doing, regardless of whether you think this person is doing the right thing or the wrong thing. The fact that somebody said exactly what's happening. I've been trying to tell you guys how this works. MG the Future is trying to tell you how this stuff works, and yet it just takes somebody who's like was so in the trenches to tell you the stories. And that's because a lot of people just don't believe us because of whatever reason. Okay, so I'm going to play a little clip from Brandman Sean to start us off, and he's going to give us some context, and then we're going to move into the bots that are used in the music industry. So I'm going to let his speaker speak on this real quick.
Hey, you're an artist and you
Shout out to
find
Brandman
somebody
Sean
to pay for your bots.
Thanks. All right. So look, as of right now, it's crazy, guys. Like I said, I just came home in January. I'm coming home, man. I'm looking at artificial intelligence and Chat GPT, and I'm like, oh, wow, this about to be a wrap, bro. Y'all see where artificial intelligence is going? Like,
so
videos,
AI plus
content,
bots,
editing, copywriting, like the world about to change right before our eyes. I was into the bots and engineering, fellas, 2011. And
okay, so it's important that I break down some of the parts that he said. He said this stuff was back in 2011. I want to point out a lot of stuff to you guys. So back in 20, what year was that? 2013, 2009 to 2013. A lot of marketers came online teaching people how to market, but they were using what's called black hat SEO. And black hat SEO is like the dark side of marketing. It's kind of like magic when you use it for negative purposes and go against natural laws and different things. So black hat SEO is defined as black hat SEO is the practice of going against search engine guidelines to manipulate SERPs, which are search engine results pages, for higher rankings. Marketers found to be using black hat SEO methods can be issued Google penalties, be wiped from search engines, or see metrics completely drop off. So that back then they had the warrior forums, they had Black Hat SEO had like a forum, I forget what it was called, but you would see basically how all the dark side of the marketers would just come up with all these schemes to get views, to get website pages plays, and get the sound click plays and all this type of stuff that was being used back then. If you watch a couple of producer grind interviews, they even talk about it on there. So there were a lot of internet marketers claiming that they were making so much money and all this type of stuff, but they were using what's called a PBN, which is, it says, what is a PBN? A private blog network. It's a network of websites created solely to link out to another website and improve its organic search visibility. The idea is the feeder sites will pass link equity back to the main site. So here's a visual of what it looks like. This is from SEMrush. Okay, so PBNs, the myths and the risks. What are PBNs? A private blog network is a group of websites that only exist to provide backlinks to other websites, meaning it's fake social proof. That's what it is. It's fake endorsement. Okay, so if you had a video that came out, there were these PBNs where you could buy, buy reach. So you would say, okay, here's $50 to promote across all these private blog networks. Remember, blogs are like YouTube channels before YouTube existed. So imagine paying a bunch of YouTubers $100 as a group, and then now your thing is on all of their websites as if they really like your product. And the same thing's happening with content creators today. These companies are launching products, paying producers or paying whoever, or just giving them licenses in exchange to talk about their product, but they're doing it in a way that isn't truly real interest, which makes people think that all these people have interest in the product when they actually don't. Okay, so here's the PBN scheme. So I have to give you this backstory because this ties into more of what he's talking about.
Get into the marketing world, and it first started, guys, with the search engine, which is Google, Yahoo, Bing. Companies pay me lots of money to help them rank on the first page of Google.
Okay, and what is that called? That's called, some people would use Black Hat SEO. I don't know his techniques, so I'm not gonna I don't know. I forget exactly what he said.
Because if they had certain keywords that was bringing them traffic, they didn't have to spend money on paid advertising. The best client is an organic client, somebody who feels like they found something. But people don't realize organic is just a strategy.
Okay, so it's important too to realize like the undertone of what he's saying. He's positioning this conversation saying his history as a marketer, which is fine, and knowing the internet, knowing how to do all this stuff. And what he's saying is that when people feel like they discovered an artist or discovered a web page, they feel a little more excitement from it. It's a fulfillment he talks about. And so imagine, let's take it off of Google and take it off of all this stuff. What happens when somebody discovers somebody on Spotify or discovers somebody magically on a playlist? They start liking this person even more because they feel like they found the music. Okay, and that discovery taps into our DNA. And so imagine the music industry is creating fake discovery by putting these unknown artists on these playlists who were already bought out to begin with, making it seem as though they were independent or seem as though they just came up from their parents' bedroom and out of the bedroom as a producer and artist and made it big. Most of these people did deals behind the scenes to make it seem as if it's a rags to riches story. And so again, when people discover somebody on Spotify, it's the same feeling as discovering something on Google. So it's important to realize what he's saying here.
It's just a term, fellas. It's just a strategy. It's just a way that people feel like they found something. It's a fulfillment. Mm-hmm. You can either do paid or you can do organic.
And I meant to say also, those are called industry plants when it happens on Spotify, if it's manipulated that way.
Came in a game, bots were used to manipulate the search engines to make people.
Let me run that back because I talked over it.
When I came in a game, bots were used to manipulate the search engines to make people's content show up higher than others.
Okay, so he talked about SEO and how bots were using Black Hat SEO to rank higher on Google. And most of the time they were using these things called PBNs or private blog networks to do that. Okay, so imagine all these blog owners plus bots plus backlink comment bots and all these different things they had back in the day when WordPress was like a thing. They had all these systems and bots and technology to go in and artificially add authority to different people, which added social proof that they needed to get to the top of Google. Okay.
So if you got YouTube and your name is Brandman Sean and you're doing a video on Gucci Mane and it's 20 million people searching for Gucci Mane that day and your video shows up first, Sean gonna get 18 million of those views.
All right, so he goes on and on and on. It's a really informative video, just exposing all the little nuances that record labels do, but I'll kind of keep it short. They use bots for streaming purposes. MG the Future told me about this years ago. I had no idea about this website. It's called SM Zeus. And what people do is, so I used to go on Instagram. Let me tell you a quick story. I used to go on Instagram and people would go live and it'd be like 2 people in there. And I'd be like, okay, cool. I'm one of the first ones. Then it'd be like 3 people. Then like 4 people. Then it'd be like 50 people. And then it's like 300 people. But it didn't make sense because you don't see that many comments on their posts. They're not that popular. And then you would see all these like basic comments. It'd be like, now back in the day, it'd be like fire emoji, like basic stuff like that. It wasn't very detailed because AI didn't exist back then. And I didn't realize at that time that person was running bots to their live stream. They would literally run bots to their live stream because I remember their numbers didn't make sense and then it would just fall off out of nowhere. Okay. And once I found out that people run bots to live streams, they run bots to the comment section, they run bots to their YouTubes, they run bots to their whatevers to fake views. We saw this with WorldStar. People called it out many times, how you would pay $700 to get your video on WorldStar. Your video on WorldStar would say 20,000 views, or excuse me, your video on WorldStar would say 200,000 views. You would click on the YouTube link, which is the embedded YouTube, and it would only say 20,000. So you're like, why does it say 200,000 on WorldStar and it says 20,000 on YouTube? Something's not adding up. And people, regardless of how it looked on the back end, they still bought those packages because they said, okay, I just want to look good on WorldStar. They knew it was fake. They knew all this stuff was pumped up and it was filler, but they still paid for it because it's that fake social proof that people wanted, that validation that they were seeking. Okay, so there's sites like SM Zeus, for example, that go in, boost Spotify's. If you ever see somebody's Spotify go from like this to then 1 million views like that, they bought bots to go to their Spotify. So everybody flashing their little Spotify plaques and their little like end of the year stats where it just goes like this, and then it's 1 million plays. That is not a natural progress on anybody's life. And That's a lottery mindset that a lot of people think happens in the music industry. Because again, you're sold these lies, and then you live out this lottery mentality to where if you just get one placement, it'll change everything. So just sacrifice your whole life and just wait for one magical moment to happen. Okay. And that's a terrible way to live, excuse me, to live your life. Because I can tell you as a business owner, there's no one magic person. There's no one magic event. There's no one magic business idea. There's no one magic anything that's going to get you from here to where you're trying to go. There's a lot of transactions over time. All right, so I have to show you more and more about this because there's so much to teach you. This is just part one. If you want part two, I'll go deeper. Okay, so let's go to some sites that people talk about. There are people with catalogs that say, "Oh, I can leverage my catalog to get $1 million loan," or they'll say, I can leverage my catalog to get $1 million right now." It's like, okay, but it's a loan and you have to pay it back. How are you going to pay back $1 million if you don't have a way to generate another $1 million? Okay, so there's a site called Royalty Exchange. And I want you guys to click on where it says listings, because this is where people buy portions of song royalties from various artists and copyright holders. So this is like a bundle. It has BTS, Chance the Rapper, Anderson .Paak, Brass Tracks, and a lot more bundled up. Now, this is just this person's specific portion of the royalties. You have to go in and look for all the specific details of ownership and all this type of stuff. Okay, it maps it out pretty well here. Okay. And let me see here. So here's the track list. So if you wanted to get more information, these are the tracks. Now, all these people combined, okay, and they're selling the royalties for last year, it earned $32,000. So I want you to sit and realize these are the top people in the world. Okay, in the last 12 months, $32,000. Now, I wish I had the old chart system. Oh, here it is. Here's the chart system. Okay, so recent earnings. So you can see, okay, it started out like this, went down big time, went down, came up some more, went down, came up, went down, then it's going up. Now, with bigger artists who have bots, you'll start to see like a huge spike in the beginning. It'll be like a kind of a spike after that, and then it just drops off tremendously after that with barely any chance to come back over time. So let me see if other people have different charts. These people have more organic looking charts, whereas I wish I had it ready for you, but I don't. Okay, so you'll see big spikes like this where it just goes up and then it just goes down like in the next 2 quarters. Okay, so check out this website because it's very revealing as to how much money is actually made from royalties. And it shows you the breakdown about how much is made from what stream of income. Okay, Don't Stop the Music. It tells you all of this type of stuff. And you can also see the multiple that these people are buying this stuff at and why they're buying it at that specific 13 multiple. I can go on about business. Most of you don't invest, so this doesn't matter. I'm just trying to show you the reality of the music business and how bots are used to generate fake views, get people to think people are more popular than what they are. Now, this next thing we're going to talk about is advances. So again, you can take a catalog and go to these different companies. If your catalog generates a certain amount of money, let's say $5,000 a year, you can go to these companies and negotiate a loan, basically, which is called an advance. But that advance means they're paying you in advance so that you pay them back. Okay, so it's a loan. Okay, so these different royalty lenders out there, they try to sell you on if your cash flow is unpredictable, if you need investments to buy a studio to record, whatever. But basically, they're just going out trying to buy up your royalties because it's cash flow. And if you look into collateralized debt obligations, you'll understand this a little bit more, and mortgage-backed securities and all that. So basically, I'm trying to like make this simple. If I'm a bank and I have 10 homes and they all pay $5,000 a month in mortgage, I can sell that debt, the future income from those people, to somebody else. Okay. And that's what's happening with music royalties as well. You can sell your future income for current cash, but you're selling your future income. So it says here, imagine financial and creative freedom without compromising ownership of your copyrights or your independence. Sound Royalties offers royalty advances from $3K to $10 million. And then it says, fill out your thing. If you earn more than $5,000 a year in music royalties, ask us what we can do for you. Okay. Why would they give you money just because? It's because they want it back. They're buying you, they're paying you a current price for your future income. I just want you to understand that. They're paying you a current price for your future income. Okay. That's what they're buying. And they make a percentage gain off of that. Most of the time it's like 13% return on investment. That's why it says the average yield here is 13%. That's 13% you could have been getting for yourself, but you're not. Okay. So I think I've covered everything. I don't want to. Oh, here's the one last thing. From S1, Symbolic One, who produced for so many top acts. I can't even name all of them. Okay. Kanye, Jay-Z, Beyonce, I think are his credits. Them both. Oh, it says right here. Okay, even better. 3-time Grammy producer Beyonce, Kanye, Madonna, Drake, Eminem, Jay-Z, Lil Uzi, Meek Mill. Okay, so he's deep in the industry. He says, my first pub deal was in 2011. It took me 23 major label release songs, excluding gospel or soundtrack songs, to complete a 4-song MDRC deal. Okay, so when somebody says, hey, I'm signing you, all we need is 4 songs. You don't realize that songs in their definition is a complete pie of equity. Now, I'm going to simplify this because it's too much to explain right now. Maybe we'll bring like an entertainment lawyer on to explain it. But you have 2 pies, basically. You have the writer side and then you have the pub side. Okay, so let's just call this W for the writer side. And then you have the pub side, which is people who publish what's written, okay, and distribute it. So basically speaking, let's say S1 produced with an artist and it's just them, those 2. He can split it in half, but that's only this side of the equation. It's not this side of the equation. So without digging into his deal specifically, getting what he's saying is that depending on his cut of this pie, in order to get a full song, he has to get 8 other slices like that to complete one song. So that's how this 23 songs only equals 4 songs, because if you have 1/8 of a pie, okay, and I was looking up also different things over here. So it says when a music producer artist receives an advance, that money is considered a prepayment against future royalties. Essentially, the advance is an upfront loan that is paid back through the royalties. Oh, also, here's the term I meant to bring up. There's so much to teach you guys. Cross collateralization. Okay, I was looking for that word earlier. I couldn't find it, but cross collateralization. Okay, where is it at here? Cross collateralization. Hold on, I thought I pulled it up. Here it is. Okay, so let's say you get an advance from a record label. You're like, wow, they're just giving me money. It's free money. No, it's not. Okay, so that producer advance, depending on the terms, is usually recoupable, meaning that that song has to go earn that amount of money. And depending on the terms and the conditions, let's say that money doesn't, let's say they give you $2,000, okay, and the song doesn't perform and create $2,000 worth of royalties, okay, to recoup. There's different conditions and different terms to where these companies can either stick you with that debt to say, okay, if you want to continue working with us, we're not going to pay you the next time. You still have to earn back that debt, okay? Or the artist producer does just not receive royalties on that specific song, or who's going to take a loss? Not a record label, okay? So I'll tell you that much. So with these advances, I'm trying to just make a simple point, but I'm getting way too advanced, is that you have to pay it back. That's the simple form. Okay, so if S1, for example, is 1/10 of the equation in this pie, he has to do this 10 more times to equal 1 pie. Okay, so that's how he's saying he made a 23 major label release song to get 4 songs. And in certain contracts, they also have stipulations to where the songs that they count as songs have to be released to a major. If they're not released to a major, or they're basically monopolized conglomerates, then they won't count it as part of a song. And that's why he's saying that it didn't count gospel songs or soundtrack songs, and it has to be on a major label release. So this 23 songs could have been 200 songs for all we know to get those 23 major placements, which then got him out of a 4-song deal. And he says he's been in it since 2011, which is 10 years. So to get out of a 4-song, and when you hear 4 songs, you're like, oh, I can make 4 beats and get on Billboard 4 times. 4 songs, according to them, 4 full equity pies, okay? Took him 10 years, and he's working with the top artists in the world. If that's not a testimonial for running away from the music industry, then I don't know what is. Because you have to understand that they're a bank. And the real short of it is just that you don't want to be in debt to anybody. Debt, there's no good purpose to debt unless you know how to yield a higher percentage. And that's for extremely advanced investors. Anybody else using debt as an instrument, you're going to get in a trap. That's the bottom line. So let me wrap this up with a concept. What was I getting at here? Oh, record labels being a bank. Okay, so I'm trying to like see how much I can show you. Okay, so let's say you're Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons. Okay, they go on, they attract more people. I'm just saying these people because they're like known. Okay, so now they attract more artists and more producers. They're at the top of this pyramid. Actually, let's draw sideways because this doesn't make sense to draw it that way. Okay, so Rick Rubin, let's say, and then we have Russell Simmons at the top of a pyramid, co-owners. Okay, now under them, it's like a family tree. You have their first signed acts. You have, I think, Run DMC. I'm forgetting all their acts on Def Jam. I don't remember, unfortunately. So they have all these artists underneath them. Okay. Now, what happens to continue this pyramid? You have to keep acquiring talent until you keep building out this pyramid to create more and more rungs. Okay, so now they go even further and now they get less quality acts, but more of them. Okay, and this is what record label acquisition is all about. It's to get rid of competition and absorb the cash flow so that they keep their market share. Okay, that's basically what they're doing. They have to keep expanding this pyramid by offering what seems like deals. And again, I'm not speaking on Russell Simmons or Rick Rubin specifically. I'm just using this as the example here for the pyramid. Okay, is that what they do from this point? And I'm going to take it off of them and use like, the bigger companies. Is that from here, their job is they're not buying music, they're buying money. Okay, so this is hard to explain without going into detail. But basically, these people might loan to their top tier people at, let's say, 2% to 4%. That's prime loan. Now, it depends on the Fed and all that type of stuff too. But let's just say it's 2 to 4%. But loaning from the top to the bottom of this pyramid, from here to here, this could be 10 to 50%. Okay, and this is predatory loaning. Okay, and the music industry, so there's so much to teach. I'm realizing as I'm teaching this to you guys. Let me calm down because I can go on for another 50 minutes. The problem is it's deeper than the loan because there's other conditions in the music industry that aren't in traditional banking. And that's why this is such a terrible industry to take out debt in. Okay, so let's say they loan to you. Now, it's not presented to you as here's a loan for 10%. It's presented to you as here's 10K, or let's say 20K is your pub deal or whatever. Okay, here's your deal. We're going to give you all this cash up front, but we need, let's just say X amount of songs, because I don't know the specific requirements. We need X amount of songs. And then we want your future income. Let's type this out. Until you recoup. Okay. Now, recouping could take 10 years, as S1 just showed you. It could take you 10 years to recoup, to even remotely get your money and equity back. That's why you hear people buying out their rights back from these companies. Okay. Because they want their future income. They sold their future income for cash and they realized, oh crap, the name of the game is owning stuff, owning assets, because those assets make money over time. But everybody's so enamored with this little upfront fee and they forget about business principles. Okay, so they're buying your future income for X amount of songs. Okay, so you could be in this thing for 5 to 10 years. Let's just say it's 10 years to get out of that debt, because basically it is debt because you have to earn your way back out of this. This is an advance against future income. So this 20K has to go generate 20K plus. Okay, it's not just 20K. You have to produce 20K plus interest. So let's say that interest is, I don't know, let's make it like 10%. So 20K times 0.1 is 2,000. So now you have to pay back 22,000 in your back end. And that could take you an infinite amount of time. And the way they keep you trapped, I just wish I need to bring on an entertainment lawyer to break down this step by step, because there's so much I want to teach you guys. But here's where producers get stuck, and I'll just end the video here. Okay, this 20K advance, that's great. But now the way they get you is that to get paid in the music industry, it could take 9 months sometimes to even get paid. I know people who are still trying to get paid invoices for beats from record labels, still didn't get paid. Okay, so, and that's just people who are working with top artists as well. It's just people don't get paid most of the time in this industry. Not all the time, but most of the time. Okay, so 20K advance, you could wait 9 months just to get paid. Some people don't even get paid. So in this 9 month amount of time, you probably don't know how to manage your money. So now you're down on cash. You have no way of making more money unless it's through, selling unknown artists off of your social proof. And this is where the toxicity comes from in the music industry, is because all these people who are in debt for this amount of time and ran out of cash flow for this 9-month period plus, they have to create income some type of way. So what do? They use their social proof and they lie and they create these illusions to trick the unknowing people into working with them, selling them webinars, selling them, what do they call it? Those camps, selling them all this type of stuff that has nothing to do with their true success on the inside. Okay, because they leverage their placements. I worked with so and so 2 years ago, and they're still getting bookings off of that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that because they're in a spot, they have to now finesse the next person. And this is what happens in the industry over and over and over again. And I need to make a part 2 because this wasn't as organized as I wanted it to be. So in part 2, if you specifically want me to go in about this type of stuff, I will. I just wanted to show you what S1 said. If there's somebody to listen to, it's S1. He's worked 3-time Grammy winner. We've had him on our YouTube page. Worked with Beyonce, Kanye, Madonna, Drake, Eminem, Jay-Z, Lil Uzi, Vert, Meek Mill. Come on, that's like everybody in the industry. And he says, my first pub deal was in 2011. It took me 23 major label release songs, excluding gospel and soundtracks songs, to complete a 4-song MDRC deal. Now, that advance was 10 years ago. Are you still living off of money you made 10 years ago? Chances are no. So this is the problem with the traditional music industry. That gap that they create and the amount of time it takes to get you paid is what drives people insane. And we're trying to save you from that. Myself, Curtis King, teaches independence. Dorian teaches independence. I'm trying to teach you how to do this for yourself so you don't get trapped into these predatory industries and predatory loans that are half impossible to pay back. So I'm wishing you guys well. Didn't realize this video would be this long. Next video, I'll try to make it more concise. If you want part 2, let me know in the comments below. Smash like. Peace.